we don't talk about Oldhim. No, no, no. Except we are going to talk about Oldhim today. Joining me today are two people from the great land of Aria. This is where you say their name. Then we have Kayla. And we have a hand.
Hello.
The disembodied voice. Disembodied.
The voice
something.
of nature.
The voice of nature. He's thankfully not a force of nature.
Oh my god, it's the tree. It's the life tree.
It is the not quite Yggdrasil.
Anyway.
The tree that's the birth of all life. The Erd tree.
Oh, we haven't done Elden Ring names in a while.
Yeah.
That's probably the best.
No, we're still in Aria. We're still talking about them frosty peeps.
Specifically about the grandfather of time, Oldhim himself.
Grandfather of timing out the match.
Yeah. Grandfather of making the match go to time.
Yep.
He's called the grandfather because he is going to take that match slower than a grandmother at Piggly Wiggly at the checkout counter counting pennies.
Burn!
It is going to go so painful.
Personal.
Yeah.
That sounds very personal, the 86.
86 has been with his grandmother and a Piggly Wiggly. He's like, Grandma, home. I watch
Dragon Ball! Digimon!
And she's like, shut up! We're trying. What do you want me to do?
Been saving these jars of pennies for weeks!
You have money for us to have dinner? No! And I'm gonna count my quarters.
Nickels and pennies. Oh.
So,
She was
Oldhim,
all-
I'm going to move right along. We're just going to forget all this conversation. I'll be sad. So, Oldhim is a very special person to talk about. He is the Guardian. And he is the second Guardian.
Who's the second Guardian to exist?
I was like, there's Volda and there's Starva, and I was like, wait, they came out later.
Are they words?
Yeah.
There's 4 Guardians
All of
now.
those
That's scary.
beautiful Guardian cards that Bravo Showstopper has been putting to use don't really apply as much to Oldhim because he's all about ice and earth.
Oldhim is. It's actually very good. So when the pre-release happened at the store, I went 4-0 with Oldhim during Tales of Aria pre-release, and that's because probably one of my favorite cards from the set was Thump. And so it's just, I'm going to Emerging Avalanche, Arsenal a card, and pass. And then you just wait for your Thump to come in for 7, dominate, on hit, discard a guard. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Thump is the
all
worst.
All of the things that Bravo Showstopper got to enjoy, Oldhim can inherently utilize, except for the 2 specializations, Showtime and Crippling Crush.
But as an Elemental Guardian, he got a new instant, which made Seismic Surge tokens, which was Awakening. And it was so good for a different Guardian that they banned it.
It literally
good for him too, but
yeah. I think they actually banned it until he hits Living Legend.
I think it is a suspension.
I think it's suspended until he hits Living Legend, and then Oldhim can use it again. Which Oldhim's my favorite play ever was a gentleman who plays at our store. We were playing CC, and the person who was going up against first, Sigil of Solace, turn 0. So he was like, "Cool, I'm gonna Awakening, fusing it, getting 6 Seismic Surges, turn 0." And he was like, "You can have your 3 life. I'll get 6 Seismic Surges."
And then because it's turn 0, he draws a
then he drew a full hand. It was actually very funny.
Tragic for his opponent.
Yeah, because he was like,
"Oh no!
Oh no, you're right. Now it's turn 1, and I'm scared."
Yeah, enjoy losing tempo
very fast. Say goodbye to tempo. It's leaving.
Yeah. Oldhim was also bolstered very much because in Tales of Aria they introduced the majestic weapon.
Oh yeah.
For each hero archetype. So he was blessed with probably the 3rd, maybe 4th best weapon in Flesh and Blood.
In the game, yeah.
Yeah. Hands down, top 5.
Yeah.
And it's Winter's Wail. It has a base kit damage of 4.
Yep.
And it costs 3 to swing it, but it has the additional effect of if it is paid for, the last of the 3 is paid for by an ice card source, which we talked a little bit about elemental last time. There is a third affinity, ice. The Winter's Wail, if it does any damage, provides a frostbite on your opponent's side of the field.
Yeah. And 4 is that tricky number of most cards block 2 or 3. So it's like, do I commit 2 guards to blocking this and not getting a frostbite, or do I subject 1 card, take 1 damage, and get a frostbite?
Or what often happened is decks that really don't like to block had to commit card space in their deck list for cards like Sink Below or Fate Foreseen, these defense reactions that block 4. And that slowed down the game. And that was actually a very interesting meta once they fixed Briar.
Yep.
Where the game was very back and forth, and there was this beautiful little window of, I would say, a fairly balanced meta. Chain had been kind of dealt with when Monarch, before Aria came out.
Stuff happened, and he didn't get access to Rosetta.
Yeah, he didn't get a ton of support with Aria other than Rosetta Thorn. Because, like, Sinjing Steelblade is okay.
It's good and limited.
In limited, it's great, but outside of it, it's yeah. But with the Guardian set that came with Aria, you had, as Kayla said, the card Thump, which is just a game ender in limited.
Every game.
You also had the generic Guardian card Terra Sunder, which allows
mini beats.
Your next attack to get boosted.
Your next Guardian attack, not attack action card. So you could use it with Guardian weapons because they count as a Guardian attack.
Like Winter's Wail. And the full effect, it costs 2?
It costs 3.
Okay.
Your next Guardian attack gets +1 and Dominate. And if this hits a hero, discard 2 cards. So God forbid you combine it with Thump, because not only is it now coming in for Dominate, discard a card, but because of Terra Sunder, it gets Dominate and discard 2 cards. So a Terra Sunder into a Thump is discard 3 cards.
Dominate if it does 1 damage.
Yeah.
You do.
If it hits, goodbye hand.
Yeah. And heaven forbid somehow you have the resources to pay for a pummel.
So let's talk about all this, because there's that combination. We also have there's another specialization that Oldhim got. Oh wait, it's not a specialization.
I thought you were going to talk about Endless Winter, and I was very excited, but you're just going to be salty.
I'm going to talk about Oak and Old.
Okay, be salty.
If that hits, you're going to put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Well,
if it is fused.
If it's fused, yeah.
Which is something we didn't talk much about with Briar, but in Aria, every
hero
high-level attack has a fusion option.
Yeah. Even some smaller, Twine Lightnings and Untwine Ices. But they introduced this new mechanic in Aria of, if this card has an elemental property, if you reveal a card of that element it requires from your hand to your opponent, you now get something a little extra. Like, the easiest is Entwine Lightning. If you reveal a lightning card, it gets go again. So basically, you're infusing it with this element of lightning to make it better. And Oak and Old had a very specific need to be fused with ice and earth, which is very hard because the actions of card play is you play the card, you pitch, and you take care of any additional costs. So
with the remaining, in this case, 2 at best.
Yeah, 2 cards from hand.
Right.
So Oak and Old costs 3, so you have to play Oak and Old, pay its cost, and then still have in your hand the cards in order to fuse it. So there is a balance to it. The part the 86 is upset about is that a different Guardian got hold of that card, used it way better than Oldhim ever did, and makes everyone salty about it.
Crippling Crush. Oak and Old.
Yeah.
Crippling Crush. You know, a lot of people call it an NPE, a negative play experience. It's not at all. I don't know why people call it that. I would call it a non-playable experience because you don't get to play the game. You don't get your hand. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm sorry. I'm not bitter.
Well, against Rune Blades, because it's just, oh, you have instances of arcane and physical damage. Which one do you want to stop? Which one do you want to take? And it's like, there's no balance. There's no point in playing against Rune Blades. Yeah. But we won't get into that.
We're getting really bitter in Arya. I love Arya, to be honest.
I love Arya too. It's actually. His actual specialization, Endless Winter, is pretty hardcore. It's only an ice fusion. I think it costs 4.
Yes, it goes back to that Guardian thing of if you run Tectonic Plating and you make your one seismic surge, this now costs 1 card.
Yep.
So
which is the same for Thump. Thump costs 4. If you have the ability to make a seismic surge, it's going to come down to 3. That's only 1 card in hand. But if you fuse it with an ice card, anytime someone adds a defending card to the chain link, I think it's non-equipment, or it might include equipment.
Yeah, no, it's a non-equipment. It is not.
It is non-equipment.
Yeah, they can block with equipment and not get frostbites.
Yeah. So if they block with cards from hand, for each card they put on the combat chain, they get 1 frostbite, which is pretty harsh. And then I think if it hits, you get 1 frostbite.
Correct. It always gives the 1 frostbite on hit. The fusion is the
additional
cards cause frostbite.
The big problem with that is that I have in many cases just said, I'll take 8 and only get 1 frostbite as compared to taking like 4 and getting 3 frostbites.
Right. It also really punishes players that want to do a defense reaction. Like maybe they have an unmovable in Arsenal and they want to completely shut this out. So they're like, I gotta block a 2-block card from my hand because then I can pitch a blue and play for a movable. It's like, actually, as soon as you put that 2-block on the chain, your removal will now cost 4.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to pay a cost, and guess what? You got a frostbite by putting something on the chain. So it does put players in this pseudo-dominate position of like, you really are only going to commit 1 card to the chain, if anything.
If that, to me, it was a brilliant idea, but with the biggest flaw of, okay, I'll take 8, get 1.
Right.
Because if it's like, if I take 8 and get 1 frostbite, I can swing back 15, still making it under the cost requirements of the frostbite.
Yeah. And if you look at Oldham's 2 elements, ice and earth, like we talked about with the whole like Rochambeau thing with Briar, his elements are earth, go big, huge towering attacks, and then
ice,
disruption.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get the benefit of like that wide that Briar does, or even all Guardians at this point don't have a wide option.
They have I go tall.
Right. I'm going to give you a nasty on-hit effect that you probably don't want to deal with, and I'm going to strip cards from hand. I'm going to force cards out of hand, like Oakenold, or just pummeling or thumping or tear asunder, and then the ice side of it is, okay, you've got cards in hand, but everything's more difficult to deal with.
Yep.
Your attacks that cost 0 now cost 1. The Channel Lake Frigid aura that is just...
Channel Lake Frigid after this.
Absolutely.
This deserves we should just talk about Channel Lake. Because it's such a defining card.
I gotta talk about Channel Lake Frigid. I just want to say this. If you're a Dash player and you sit down against an Oldhim, you don't afford anything. You're a poor woman with a gun that's frozen shut. You don't get to do anything. I got Channel Lake Frigid with my Dash, and it's like I wanna shoot my pistol. It costs me 1 to shoot my pistol and 2 to load my pistol. This is dumb. I want to remove a counter from my induction chamber. Oh, it costs me 1 to do that. This sucks. I'm cold. I'm only in booty shorts and I have a gun. What do you want me to do?
Channel Lake Frigid is an aura that every element has 1 flow counter aura.
Yes.
And
1 channel. We talked about
every
Thunderstep and Mount Heroic last week.
Lake Frigid.
And they work very well with the archetype of lightning, like Channel Thunderstep gives you go again, like lightning. You go fast.
It doesn't work really
Mountain
well though.
Mountain is
Mountain
nice and tall.
Strike is big and tall, so you get sturdy attacks. They boost your attacks. Channel Lake Frigid, because it's so cold, when it's on the field, and it'll stay on until we talk about its little mechanism, is that all cards and activated abilities that your opponents control cost 1 more. So now everything you want to do costs 1 more. And it stays on the field. It has a nice little thing of
At the end of
at the end of your turn. So even the turn you play it,
Right.
it gets a flow counter. And this is sort of like a new thing they introduced. You can think of it like counters that you put on Dash's equipment and things, but you put a flow counter on it, and at your end step, for every flow counter, you put a card of that element on the bottom of your deck. So they have to be in your pitch zone. And if it's the turn you played it, you pitched an ice card to pay for it, you're solid. You take that ice card, you put it to the bottom, and then you take all your pitch and you put it right after. The second turn it's up, it gets tricky.
Because then you need 2 ice cards, which means you needed to keep 2 ice cards in your hand while defending.
Yep.
But again, they're
But typically,
channel locked out.
yeah,
so
for 1 turn, Channel Lake Frigid pays for itself. It is such a powerful card that you see Oldham's Lexi's and Bravo Star the Show running. Like, it is a 3 of in every deck. If they had 1 in every color, there would be 9 in every deck.
yeah, it any hero that is what we call low to the ground or Cheerio is immediately punished by Channel Lake Frigid. I mean, your ninjas, your
Some
Go
rune,
wide
some
rune
rune
blades,
blades.
all of
Dash.
your lightning element heroes that like to do lightning stuff.
Dash is just, it's too hard.
Dash
it's
against
so
the
sad.
Elemental Guardian is just because the Crippling Crushes, the Blizzards, the Channel Lakes, the
Blizzards are horrible. Channel Lakes are horrible, and just any time they get a frostbite, they're like, "Oh no, I'm cold."
And those are each element got an instant. The instant for ice is Blizzard.
Yeah.
That
Cost 0.
costs 0. Your opponent has to pay 2 resources, or
Or their action
they cannot get go again.
cannot gain go again. Loses and cannot.
Loses and cannot gain go again. So like they just broke Snapdragon Scalers to give this attack go again. Instant Blizzard. You don't have a card in hand and you don't have 2 resources. Your turn is over now.
Yep.
Congratulations, you wasted your equipment. The right time Blizzard can actually be more crippling than anything else that an Oldhim can throw at you if you are a go wide hero that requires equipment. I may or may not have had that happen to me. Not thankfully at anything serious, but I broke Snapdragon Scalers and then immediately received a Blizzard to the face when I had 1 card in hand. I had a red in hand.
You couldn't even pay for it.
Nope. I arsenaled the red and said, "Well played."
That's awful. That's when you look at your opponent and just go, "Why have you done this?
Who
Are you
hurt you?
proud of yourself?
Who hurt
Yeah,
you?
who are you? Is he holding you to this? Is Oldhim holding your family hostage?"
Is that the cave he's coming out of in that one card art?
So the saving grace on that would be to get action points. So if you have Lead the Charge in your deck,
The charge is very useful. I mean, with Dash, you have a very good way of making action points, but it's also just your worst matchup by far is Elemental Guardian for Dash.
Yes.
Or Lexi, because Lexi can also play the Elemental Ranger we'll talk about next week. She can also play it if she is of ice embodiment.
She also has the added benefit of having Blink and Bleed Charge available to her.
So, I mean, Lexi's are very good at making action
Flash.
points, but and Flash. Well, Flash just gives go again.
Yeah, Flashes go again, but
Blink is just gain an action point.
gain 1 action point for 0.
But yeah, Channel Lake Frigid is a wonderful card. Beautiful. Also, it was the first. It was one of the cards in first edition Aria that had an alternate art that is just gorgeous.
And simultaneously very subtle. Like
Yes.
previous alt arts were pretty obvious. I'm thinking of like Galaxy Black from Monarch.
Yeah, Galaxy Black. It was like the whipped out version.
Very obvious.
Actually, that was like one of the only Blood Tribute was the other card that got a alternate art.
They got an official. Like that wasn't an official.
No,
art.
it
They
was
just changed the art.
They just changed the art, but this is the first time that they said this is an alternate art that you can only get in first edition, and it came in cold form.
Right, it came in regular and full. Well, I think.
Yeah, I think you could get a regular one. I don't remember. But very, very wonderful card, and Oldhim puts it to wonderful use as any Oldhim who is running Winter's Well will have plenty of ice cards.
Yeah.
And they will get 1, if not 2 turns out of it. 3 starts getting iffy because then it's like, how do I pay for everything? Like, I need things to pay for to put these cards in the pitch area.
Yeah.
So then it becomes this issue of I can't get the cards there, or I need to use them to do other things.
When you start thinking about building an Oldhim, like we talked about Briar, how she can pull from a beautiful pool of generics that work very well. She's got strong Runeblade cards to back her up. Most Oldhims stick to
the bread and butter. They have their elementals, they have their guardian cards. Like you'll probably see them run Spinal Crushes because if it does 4 more, they can stop any source of go again on their opponent's turn. You'll probably see
it's a sideboard scenario, right? Like if you're going up against
Forged for War was one that a lot of them did because they could block with the
Rampart of
beautiful card Rampart of the Ram's Head, which
again punishes dash.
So, and I didn't even think about this till just now. They also introduced offhand items in Aria.
Yeah. Not just two-handed.
But this is it's not a one-handed thing. It's an offhand that you can have a one-handed weapon and an offhand, which is a shield. And they had the common equipment, which was Rotten Old Buckler, and it blocks 1, and then it's destroyed, but it's cute and I like it. It's good and sealed. But if you got the legendary Rampart of the Ram's Head, which is gorgeous, just wonderful looking. It's pay 1 resource and Ram's Head gets +1 till the end of the turn. And stuff like that, like him just being able to block 1, but combined with Forged for War, which was a aura from Welcome to Wrath, that it stayed on the field, and when it did, all equipment gained +1 block. So people didn't even have to pay for Ram's Head to block at that point. They could just block with Ram's Head for 1. Then they could use their Mage Master boots to block for 1.
And because it doesn't have Temper or Blade Break,
it doesn't break.
You can your Tectonic Plating blocks for 3 the first time in that scenario.
So why don't we go down, because there's a lot that Oldhim can be built toward. Why don't we just go down the equipment since we're talking about that? And
we can. So you have the offhand, which is your Rotten Old Buckler, or the Ram's Head, which is a very, very good card.
One thing that you kind of hinted at, and I'll kind of drive in.
Well, I guess we can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
for some reason I was like, we can't talk about Everfest yet, and we have.
We always have been talking about.
Yeah, that was just my brain was not plugging in.
So if anybody's watching and paying attention, I've had the Everfest banner up like forever, and that's just because like whenever you see this, like you'll know like when these videos were done. So if we come back and you watch this during more than like the 3 metas past this, you're just like, they're completely wrong about everything.
Why aren't they talking about this card or that card? Yeah.
You're talking about Badoo Runeblade card that's broken. It's like, because we're making a video right now as you're watching this 2 months from now.
More broken Runeblade.
So in a couple weeks, this will go to Uprising and stay Uprising for a long time.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Another offhand equipment that came out in Everfest that Guardian can use is Bastion of Stalagmite, which is another shield that blocks 2, but it's battle worn. Temper. Yeah. So, but when you block with it, you give your opponent a frostbite. So it's crippling in of itself.
Yeah, the timing on its use is crucial. Yeah. But once you
use it properly, and your opponent's like, oh gosh, okay. But the other generic offhand that any hero can use if they have a one-handed weapon is Arcane Lantern. And I love Arcane Lantern.
That came out in Everfest.
Yeah, it's an Everfest rare equipment that's generic. It's a one-handed offhand. You cannot wield 2 because it's an offhand.
Yep. You don't have 2 offhands. I wish I do it.
I'd run it in Shiana.
I don't need
But-
Palace Try. I have 2 lanterns.
The Arcane Lantern has the standard null rune treatment of Arcane Barrier 1. So pay 1 resource, negate 1 arcane damage from
Yep.
1 source. And as a Guardian, if you're going up against a Rune Blade and you don't want to use Stalagmite if you're an Oldhim,
Yep.
you will use Arcane Lantern.
Or
Because that's how you deal with
to
Lantern.
keep my chest to feet equipment. It's like, oh, I'll put an Arcane Lantern and Winter's Wail or Titan's Fist.
The one thing that when Oldhim came out, and even to this day, in the Everfest most recent set meta, Guardians still don't have a feet equipment.
No,
Like they don't. We talked about it with Bravo's
they can just walk
Showstopper.
around with no shoes on and they're happy.
Yeah. So like in the Arcane matchup, your first thing to go is pretty much your feet.
Yeah.
But then if you want that null rune or that Arcane Barrier 2, there's
Feet,
your Arcane
offhand,
Lantern.
yeah.
If you want to go 3, then it's usually feet, arms,
Chest,
off piece.
Head.
Well, they've got
Actually, hands.
Oldhim has a great one.
Yeah,
with
no.
Crown
I
of Seeds.
was thinking of Guardians in general. Give
So
them head.
we've got some feet. We've got some offhand. Let's go.
They don't have feet. I mean, their feet is.
Well,
they
we
probably
said. I'm saying we talked about it
Yeah, it's
with Mage Masters.
Mage Map is pretty
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
normal.
say.
Sometimes you'll see people put Iron Rod or Iron Hide there if they want
Iron Tide's good. Some started running time skippers,
to get that action point on an attack as
with
opposed to
prisms.
as opposed to just Mage Masters where they're non-attacks, which most
Yeah.
most of the Guardian auras have go again. Not all, but
No.
most do. There are a select few older auras that do not, that are definitely worth playing, and
Or
using
just
Mage Master.
action cards of, I would really like this to have go again.
Like Feindal's or Tome of Feindal
Tome of
being
Feindal.
like a big
Head for Oldhim, Crown of Seeds.
Let's do
is
the
perfect.
head last because the head. I think we need to talk
Why?
about that. Okay, we can talk about the
Why?
head. So Crown of Seeds.
like Crown of Seeds.
We just mentioned it. I know it's just-
I know. So here's the thing. We talked about Rampart of the Ram's Head, and if you pitch to Crown of Seeds, you have resources floating. That goes to Rampart, and then all of a sudden, if someone breaks the chain, then you can pay another resource into Rampart. All of a sudden, your Rampart blocks too.
Yeah,
And then
you've
the next
negated
one-
4 damage with 3 resources.
Yes.
Like,
But
That's-
I mean,
amazing.
I don't think anyone really knew Crown of Seeds until recently. And then some deck lists came out and they were like, watch me constantly block 1 damage and get a card in hand. And people are like, wow, that's really smart. But Crown of Seeds is, it doesn't block anything, but it does have a defense area so that it works with
Yeah.
Forged for War. But it's
Pay 1 resource.
pay 1 resource, you take a card in your arsenal, put it on the bottom of your deck, you draw a card, and you prevent the next 1 damage.
Whether it be arcane, physical,
It's so simple.
or like we talked about with Briar, that deal a damage.
Deal a
force.
damage,
It's
yeah.
literally the only card
You could block a Mark of Lightning with it.
in the game that has a built-in way to deter deal a damage or deal X damage. It's only 1, but it has the only way to just be like, no.
Yep. And it's, when you think about it, at first you're like, okay, 1 damage isn't that much.
And
But
also 1 resource for 1 damage.
yeah, 1 resource for 1 damage, but then it becomes more of cycling hands of,
Right. What can I do with
my
this?
arsenal is actually not good with the hand that I drew after arsenaling it.
Yep.
I'll just get rid of it.
And then
And
draw
get
a
a
fresh card.
Fresh card. Oh, it works so much better.
And then maybe I want this Oakenold later in the match once I've fatigued them out.
Yeah.
Cool. Pitch this red to the bottom to
And
get rid of 1 damage. Or if, in a perfect world, pitch this blue like the 86 had said. Feed the other one of the other 2 into Rampart, and cool, I've now prevented 2 damage on a
Yep.
physical attack.
or you can use it for Staunch Response, which is a Guardian Defense reaction, which costs 2. So you could block 5 with 2 resources, use the last resource for Crown of Siege, you now blocked 6 damage. That's a Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
But you got rid of your arsenal, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, it is also very good at exactly that.
Yeah.
Of, things that target the arsenal, like
Yeah. 'cause
Command and
the-
Conquer or Talisman of
Yeah.
Warfare, other things you'd be like, Crown of Seeds.
Yeah, they were cards that like Command and Conquer was so brutal before Crown of Seeds because people were like, the reason I put this in my arsenal is because I want to keep it. And now it's being threatened. But now, Elemental Guardians are saying, oh, you're threatening my arsenal. I'll just get rid of it.
They're like, I'm not going to lose the card. I'm just going to put it in the bottom of my deck. It'll
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of it, because it goes to the graveyard with
If
Command and Conquer hits.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, oh, I could just
Goodbye
lose this
forever.
card, it's like, I'm going to take 5 damage, my card's now on the bottom of my deck, and I have a card in hand.
It really devalues a 2-cost attack's effectiveness.
Yeah.
That a lot of decks, going into Aria, a lot of heroes ran Command and Conquer.
Every hero pretty much had Command and Conquer in their sideboard, if not in main deck.
Yeah.
And then now, thanks to cards like that, it's like some people are questioning whether to run Command and Conquers against certain matchups because some people just don't worry about their arsenal.
Yep. Can confirm.
Okay.
I am one of them.
I don't care about my arsenal. Take it.
So head equipment, if you're going for the highest value, highest optimization, Crown of Seeds.
Crown of Seeds is wonderful for Oldhim. Second best option would be probably Helm of Eisen's Peak.
Yep.
Because it blocks.
G Guardian.
G Guardian Head, still so good. Oh, it's so good as a common equipment. Blocks for 1. And you get 1 intellect. You pay 1 resource, destroy it, you get 1 intellect.
So that turn after you had to block handicap for a red.
You're like, I've blocked with everything in my hand. All I got's a red card left. There's not really much for me to do. I've already blocked with Helm of Eisen's Peak. I'm going to pitch 1, pop Helm. I've got 5 cards now.
Or even when you have 2 cards, you're like, I'm going to Arsenal 1.
Got 6 cards now.
And then draw 5. And as Oldhim, I can use one of those cards that may block for nothing, but is a blue elemental, and all of a sudden I have a way to fuel my built-in hero ability, which we've yet to talk about, because it's a defense reaction. He has 2 defense reactions.
Naturally.
And equipment synergizes so well with it that I think now is the right time to talk about it, because when you're pitching defensively for this Crown of Seeds or Rampart or other things, once again, the resource that finishes the cost is the thing that matters with Oldhim's defense reaction. So if you pitch a blue and use 1 resource for Crown, 1 resource for Rampart, 1 floating, you can then pitch a yellow elemental of Earth or Ice to trigger his defense reaction of either type.
Yep.
So 2 cards can potentially block 2 physical damage, and if it's an Ice that you're pitching as a second card, force one of their cards in hand to just go on top of their deck. There's literally nothing they can do about it.
Which works wonderful with the whole archetypes of Earth and Ice. It's like Earth, I'm sturdy. Ice is disruption. It's like, it's brutal against go wide players of, oh, they're doing things. Oh, they've attacked me. They attacked me for 5. I'm gonna block 3. It's good. It's now to attack reactions. I'm in a defense reaction with pitching an ice card, and you now have to get rid of that card in your hand, so you don't come in with the last attack you were planning.
Yeah,
you might hit me for 3.
You're gonna finish your turn with the E-Strike for 7, and you have 2 cards in hand. Well, they do that. You put 1 card on your top of your deck. Now your E-Strike is worthless. You can't bottom deck a card.
Put your E-Strike in Arsenal and pray that you don't get blocked out. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the other alternative is you pitch to Earth, and the Earth option is just the next 2 damage from any source. No, it doesn't happen. So between that and Crown,
you've blocked 3 damage.
You've blocked 3 damage, fed 1 into Rampart. You blocked 4 damage with 2 cards, which is the minimum that you should be getting out of 2 cards. But it's all at reaction speed.
Yeah.
Which really does allow, other than Rampart. Rampart is physically putting it on the combat chain during the defense step, but it does allow you to kind of bait your opponent out and be like, do you have, the Razor Reflex? Do you have the lunging press?
They do have that option of, defense reaction. They can react to that defense reaction with playing an attack reaction.
Yep.
Thus not losing the card.
Yep.
But if it's an attack action card, you've lost it. Unless you can pitch it to instant something, or it's an instant itself, it's gone.
Yeah. It's very punishing the right matchup, and that's just over time you'll learn how to use his defense reaction alongside your equipment.
Yep.
And moving to chess pieces, he has a really nice variety of chess pieces, honestly.
He's got a smorgasbord of options.
In your legendary sphere, you have Tectonic Plating, which is the Welcome to Wraith legendary, as well as Heart of Ice.
Maybe we could melt the
Oldhim.
governor's icy heart with a cool island song.
No, he's right. We have to freeze his hot heart with a cool island song.
Or is it freshen his hot temper with a cool island song?
Let's cool his hot temper with a fresh island song.
That's it!
Which
See,
you don't see him running him as often.
he doesn't have a lot of benefit of Heart of Ice unless you're playing against a hero that does a lot of defense reactions.
So Heart of Ice has the ability to spend a resource, give your opponent a frostbite as an
Or
action.
Wizard.
Yeah.
That would
It's terrible against Prism. It's terrible against some other matchups, but it can be very painful against low to the ground Briars,
Mhm.
low to the ground Ninjas, even some of the low to the ground Rangers that are like, it now costs 2 to load my bow. I only have 3 cards in hand and 2 of them are red.
Yeah, they can't load their bow on your turn.
Right. So you can really punish the right matchup with Heart of Ice. So when you're building a Blitz Oldhim, it's absolutely part of your 11 because it also has Arcane Barrier. It's a functional piece of equipment that has the ability to always
Yeah.
neutralize Arcane.
It was also, and here's my biggest issue with Tales of Aria,
only
the only card in the set to have Arcane Barrier. So if you're playing in a limited calling event, let's say in Cincinnati, and you wanted to win, you better pull a Heart of Ice or you're screwed.
all those Briars are coming for you.
Yeah, like that was okay. My biggest complaint with Tales of Aria is, as a set that dealt arcane damage, it had the smallest, most minuscule options to stop that arcane damage.
Crown of Seeds, legendary. Heart of
But
Ice,
it only blocks one
right? Heart of Ice, legendary. Runaways, once per match.
per match,
Stop 1 damage.
and it's like, what did you expect to happen during limited events or sealed events where it's like they're like, oh, we see like top 8s, 7 Briars and 1 Oldhim. It's like the 1 Oldhim has Heart of Ice. How is he doing it? It's like he has Heart of Ice. He is the only way to stop arcane damage.
Or
And
his Earth defense reaction, but that's it.
But you have to
It has to be an attack.
you have to set it up in advance.
No, I'm saying like it has to be a Rune Blade attacking you with
Yeah.
physical, and then aha!
Then defense reaction the next 2, but they could still just do an attack.
Yeah.
And then the next attack come in with arcane damage and you've lost it. I love the set so much, but only having one piece have arcane barrier and making it a legendary was their biggest failure in the set. Apart from Rosetta Thorn not being an elemental Rune Blade and Dust Blade.
There was some growing pains with this set,
Yeah.
but if you're not going to run legendary chess pieces with Oldhim, you do still have the option of
Blue!
Deep Blue, even Hardened Cross Strap,
Hardened Cross Strap, but if you were playing in a sealed limited format, Deep Blue.
and I've also seen some that run the Earthlore Bounty, which is the Everfest
Yes.
Guardian chess piece.
I love Earthlore Bounty. It's so good.
Oldhim does have a few cards that allow him to draw
Yeah.
on his turn.
Tome
So
of
it-
Harvest.
Tome of Harvest, each element has a if played from Arsenal draw card.
Sodomora.
And
Polar Blast.
And then he can obviously run the generic Tome of Findall.
Yep.
We've already talked about how that synergizes with Mage Master Boots, or even just Time Skippers, which is a really expensive way to do it, but
Yeah, it's an
it
expensive
works.
way.
So you don't have to always run legendaries with Oldhim. Tectonic Plating is great because it blocks 2 and then 1 with Battle Worn. You can still create Seismic Surges. You can still filter your hand.
Yep.
Even if you have nothing in hand, you can always pitch to it. If you're not going to want to Arsenal that card, you can always pitch to it, make a Seismic, and then pray that it helps you play something next
Yeah.
time. There's a few chess pieces that I don't really agree with. I don't think you should ever put the No Rune Robe in
No.
like at that point. If you have it, just run Heart of Ice.
I think in any situation with almost any hero, Nullrune Robe is probably the least beneficial area for Nullrune. Because you will have something better to help you.
Yeah, I think Ninjas may be the only exception because the only thing you need for Ninja is Mask of Momentum.
Yeah.
They benefit from other things, but if you're really respecting Arcane and you're gonna give like maximum barrier, like you can lose the chest piece as a ninja.
Yeah.
But
So yeah.
chest, head, arms.
I also suggest for chest, just because a lot of people still run it tunic. It just that resource pays off a little bit in Oldhim.
Yeah, the tunic is actually a free crown activation or a free ram's head.
Every 3 turns.
So it's more of elemental guardians really benefit from tunic more than standard guardians because for them, getting a seismic surge to them is a resource. But getting a seismic surge doesn't help with ram's head or crown of seeds. It will help you with getting those activations to disrupt your opponent.
Because if you can use your tunic to crown, you don't have to pitch
You
a
don't have to
card.
pitch. You
so
now
you
have
have
5
cards in hand. Which, for the new Elemental Guardian that is Living Legend already, was just far too powerful.
We're not talking.
Yeah, we're not. We won't. We will, but we won't. Whew. There's a bug.
There's a bug flying at me and my cat's gonna attack me.
Arms.
Must protect mother.
Arms,
Goliath.
Goliath Gauntlet is great because naturally a lot of Guardian arm or Guardian attacks cost 2 or more. So you're gonna meet. It's also Goliath Gauntlet is a free pump your thump turn.
Yep.
Like it is wonderful because now your thumb comes in for 8 dominate to start.
It's just better than Cracker Jacks, which is what was in Arya.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible card.
Yeah, Cracker Jacks is destroy your next attack action gets +1, which is a way to pump a thump and limit.
Stubby Hammers did it better. Bracers of Belief did it better.
Stubby Hammer Bracers of Belief relied on revealing.
Sure.
Stubby Hammers wouldn't work because it's for attacks 3 power.
I'm just saying about Cracker Jacks in general.
Oh, you're talking about just its ability.
Yeah, Cracker Jacks doesn't.
I thought you were referring for Oldhim, and I was like, he would get the least amount of use out of.
Cracker Jacks literally was made for limited because of Thump.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that. Or
if you're playing Oldhim and you pull a Thump and you see a Cracker Jacks, take it, and then you only use the Cracker Jacks on the turn you get the red Thump.
That or Briar running Force of Nature if you get a Force of Nature. Because then you can fuse Force of Nature, your first attack gets it, blah, 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 and then your second attack, Cracker Jack gets it, blah, blah, blah. But outside of Cracker Jacks is garbage. Do you have any other suggestions for Hands 86?
I do. I think you're going to be common. You're going to be really aggressive. If you go legendary, then you're going to be really defensive. And you might have Crater Fist, but you're not going to use it for the ability. You're just going to use it to block.
The three no.
Crater Fist is 100% just a blocking arm piece.
It just gives you 43 health at the beginning of the game.
Yep. Like if you're going up against a Rhinar who's intimidating and you're like, I'm scared that 2 damage might be the end of me, then take Crater Fist.
Yep.
It's a wonderful block too.
Yep.
But as far as like actual usability, Goliath Gauntlet is 100% better.
Yeah. Even if you only add 2 damage to 1 attack, the timing on it again, right? Like, oh, this is my Oakenold turn and I can fuse it. I'm coming in with Goliath Gauntlet.
I was going to say, even if it's a Glacial Footsteps, which is a wonderful Elemental Guardian card.
10 damage for 6.
10 damage if you can fuse it, which is possible with a 4-card hand. You use 2 to pay for it and use 1 to fuse it. You could come in with 12 Dominate.
Yep.
So, Goliath Gauntlet, in my opinion, is by far the best Guardian arm piece. Yeah. Until they introduce, like, some sort of
something better that's down the road, yeah.
Or, I am still waiting for the legendary generic arm piece that any hero can use. Because there are some heroes who are just getting the shaft with not good arm pieces. Mechanologist, ninjas.
Like, Breaking Scales is great-ish, but not great.
No.
It's a sad
day. You could have something else. You tell me you don't want a Goliath Gauntlet, your Surging Strike?
I have.
And then pummel it?
In Limited. I will in Blitz.
But no, I'm still waiting. I still want them to make a legendary arm equipment that is generic so everyone can use it. Because let me just say, Silver Palms is the biggest letdown of the century. I'm more upset about Silver Palms than Starvo coming out of that set.
They did promise us a legendary hand equipment, and
They didn't tell me it was for merchants.
Captain smiling over here. I'm trading skins in style now.
Look at my silver palms. Give me your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Goliath Gauntlet is just going to be your best option.
So
And again, it just depends on what style you want to play, but
Yeah.
we talked about some good cards, and we talked about some of the equipment that Oldhim can run. So Oldhim is the most interesting character here because Oldhim can be built a couple different ways. Oldhim
Yeah.
can be very aggro and cause you to like get pummeled and lose cards out of your hand and everything else, and that's really terrifying. But
some men just want to watch the world burn.
And they're going to decide, I'm not going to win this game. You know what? Neither
You're
are
not
you.
gonna win that game. You know, they sit down and they go, "Who's winning today?" And then if your opponent says no one, then you're correct. You're like, "Yeah, neither of us are winning today. Welcome to my world." He is like, they were like, "Ice is control. It slows the game," and he was like, "Yeah, I'm made of it. I'm slow." We're just gonna be all slow. Like, Oldhim's are, let me tell you, you sit down across an Oldhim player and they're sitting there thinking, it's like, defend with your 3 cards. Pitch for winner's well, let's go. That's your turn, let's go. We can make this a minute. Let's go.
And Oldhim's going to be,
Instead,
he's going to be like, which is the most optimal way to do this? Do I want to block 3 with this card or block 3 with this card? And the next 2 attacks, what order do I want to block these 3 in? All of these cards block for 3. Huh. I can't decide. Maybe this one. Oh, well, you know what? That one, maybe not.
like,
let's just do this one.
LSS basically just bowed and said, "You got us," because when they made Everfest, what did they do? They gave us Steadfast.
Yeah.
They were just like, "How about we slow down the game even more?"
Yeah.
What would you like as a
Because
guardian?
now the Guardian's gonna sit there and be like,
Well, I could block, or I could pitch and play Steadfast.
or do I crown now or do I crown later?
Or if I
But if
crown
I
now, I can Steadfast on top of it,
I could Steadfast.
and then pitch a yellow ice card, and then they have to put one on top. Or I just block hand and then swing whale.
Do I steadfast first or do I crown first?
It's play your card. That's your turn, bruh.
You
Go.
know exactly what you're going to do. And guess what?
No,
It's nothing.
I know what you're
It's
gonna do.
absolutely nothing.
You need to show me your hand. I know what's in your hand. You got a blue Ice Quake. You got 3 Elemental Guardian cards. Block 9. Swing winners well. Guess what? I'm gonna take 4 and a Frostbite. Let's go.
So
And it's
Fatigue
gonna-
Oldhim is very clearly not a crowd pleaser.
If you are going to a large scale event with the sole purpose of saying, I'm not winning today, but neither are any of my opponents, you have succeeded, sir, in being just
The worst.
a living embodiment of a snail, but the snail is in front of everyone else at like a grocery store checkout line, and no one else can check out because it's the only employee there, and you're just there behind the snail.
And they're
no
counting
one's
pennies.
going forward. They're counting pennies, but he doesn't have hands because he's a snail, so it takes forever, and he has to think, which penny does he use? Does he use the penny from 2002 or for 1998? No one knows, but you know, because you're going to use both of them, because you just go.
We're going to debate what to put on the counter first. Yeah. So Oldhim. So this is
Do I put
actually.
my money on the counter first, or do I put the quarters on the counter first? Do I give them the change?
But that's
Should
the
I
thing
just give
that.
them my debit card?
That's the
What
thing
should
that
I
Oldhim does. Is he gets to that point. He's like, well, I'm definitely not going to win this game. You might as well not either. Oh, you're going to get top 8 from this game? Oh, man.
Like, what's
You were
your
gonna-
record?
You're going to be in the top
5-0. That's crazy. There's
Yeah.
6 rounds today.
Hey, guess what? You're gonna go undefeated today. 5-0-1.
Yeah. 5-0 and oh, that sucks.
That's a draw,
That's a
baby.
draw.
And unfortunately, in this game, draws do
They
not
don't
help your
count for
ranking.
anything. No,
No.
they don't count. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't negatively impact you like a loss does.
Kinda does.
Yeah. Actually, it hurts your strength of schedule.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
also
just on the schedule,
matches you up against you'll get ranked down and you'll
Yeah.
play lower ELO people.
I've never played card games to understand how those things work. But
Oh, that's fair.
if you sit down across an Oldhim player, um, good freaking luck getting to turn 5 because you're going to be on turn 4 and they're going to call time. 50 minutes and it takes them 45 to think of their first turn. Turn 0, what do I want an arsenal? What do I want an arsenal that I'm going to end up crowning of seeds to just get rid of? What card do I want on the bottom of my deck?
They're gonna come out like really strong at the beginning. They're like Oakenol, Pummel, and then like 3 turns later, you're gonna be like, okay, I dealt 35 damage, and you're like, wow, I've only dealt 20 damage to you, and this has been like 3 turns. Well, guess
Turtle
nobody's gonna win
mode.
this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go through, they're like, oh, turn 1 Oakenol, turn 2 Oakenol, turn 3 Oakenol. I got nothing left, man. I'm out of gas.
I got
I
one
guess-
winner, and
I guess I put it in park on the freeway. None of us are moving.
I can tell you from personal
Turn it
experience,
sideways to put in park.
and poorly.
Well, yeah. You don't progress in the game.
You might get rear-ended by a Subaru. You might almost die.
He's just talking about Oldhim stalling the game, but you had to bring it personally. I was just
I
making
got better, mostly. Just the trauma.
Not better.
So if,
None of
if
us
you're
are
gonna-
better.
if you're gonna watch this, and you're gonna take all our wonderful words of wisdom into consideration, do not play Fatigue Oldhim, because I will personally find you, and I will take out every single ice card and replace it with earth cards, and I'm gonna replace them all with evergreens because I love that card. It's a wonderful earth card, and all Oldhim should run it. Because guess what? It just slows the game down more. Because the card just goes back to the deck. Or you stall this match out, buddy. I'm not joking. I don't know if you were there, 86, during the calling. We did
I remember
side
the
event
one
draft.
Oldham. Okay, no, not side event.
Yeah, it was a side event draft, and my first hand, I think I got like a Majestic for Oldhim. So I was like, I guess I'll do Oldhim, and then like the second pack I got a Rotnell Buckler, so I was like, alright, so solidified Oldhim. My first match, because they don't time side events, they just let you do them for however long it lasts. I'm not lying. When the first round of my draft took over an hour, because the Oldhim sitting across from me, who's a wonderful man, we talked to him many times, tried to fatigue another Oldhim, and I did damage. And I went through like half my deck, and I was like, oh, he's trying to fatigue me. All right, I'll play that game. So then I started playing Fatigue, but I had evergreens. So I would literally just like, block, pitch whale, Arsenal evergreen, wait to my next turn, play evergreen, it would just go back under. And eventually he had no cards left, and I had 1 blue card at evergreen. And he was like, how long did it take? How long did that game take?
It took a long time.
Like, okay, so it took so long that my round 2 match had to wait for me to finish so we could play. Another gentleman was already at round 3. He was waiting on me. I went to the finals with this Oldhim, and that guy just like was like, I've been sitting here for 45 minutes. I've been 2-0 this entire time. And I was like, I'm sorry. Blame him. He wanted to play Fatigue.
To help the people I hate. Sorry, the potential fatigue Oldhamers. Don't just be like, huh, okay, crown, ram, okay, block 3, okay, done, your turn. Don't just hurry through. Like think it through. Like you're gonna end up taking a little bit slow if you want to play the fatigue game. Because if you just like hurry up and like, okay, I'm gonna block everything out, you're gonna expedite either you're gonna run out of stuff or the opponent's gonna run out of stuff, and you're gonna be able to hit them back. And hopefully it's the latter. But if you this is a bad thing to say, but if you slow that down, then you're just gonna be like, huh, what do I do this turn? Well, and then just go through everything, play it all out in your head, play accordingly, take your time, because if you hurry it, someone will
There's 3
have fun.
different options. So they gotta play option 1 in their head. And they're like, option 1, I'll take 5 damage. Option 2, I'll only take 4 damage, but I do lose my arsenal. Option 3, I take no damage. I lose my arsenal, but I get 1 card back in hand, and it's a blue ice card, and then I can swing for Winter's Well for 4 and a Frostbite. I'm gonna need 10 minutes to think about which option is the best.
Please don't do that. But I know that there's some people out here who probably will. And at some point in your game, you're probably going to be an Oldhim and be in that position. Like, I know I'm going to lose. I don't want this person to win, though. So, let's just do it.
Don't be that person. Don't spitefully stall a game.
I agree. Don't do it. I know people will. And there
There are 100% people who will. I mean, if you can stall without time running out, and your opponent literally runs out of cards, and you still have like 8 cards in your deck, and all you have to do is pitch whale, pitch whale, pitch whale, and you just beat them in their face until they're dead. If you can do that before 50 minutes is up, congratulations, you deserve to win. You did it fast enough, you did it wonderfully enough, you thought out all your plans, you lived and they didn't. But if you sit there and do that strategy and no one wins, why are you at the event?
Yeah.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Some Oldhims just want to freeze the world completely.
Man. That's
Alright, that's Oldhim.
Yeah.
He's a frosty old man.
Rant
over. There's not really much to his lore because they actually wrote it out kind of poetically in like a ballad type of sense. But he basically herald of these like long people before sort of Wrath and Arya, and he was frozen solid and then later emerged and was had this calling brought upon him. But it's pretty cool.
So when you say it was in a ballad, was it done by a bard? Was it done by York?
A bard could have sung that ballad to me.
Gather around, kids, and hear the tale of Oldhim, the grandfather of eternity. All right, I'm gonna cut that.
Yeah, the song itself is 8 hours long, which is what it feels like when you play against an Oldhim.
There are also a handful of cards that have flavor text of Oldhim.
Yeah.
Specifically, Steadfast comes
Yeah.
to mind. So, like, we have this bright history now, 6 sets in, of heroes in the more recent sets that have been quoted in cards.
Yeah.
Valda Brightaxe
Valda
has been quoted at least twice in cards. Oldhim has 2 cards with quotes on it. I'm drawing a blank on the second, but Steadfast is 1. And like you can get all these lovely little pieces of backstory and lore, and
Yep.
the art in Flesh and Blood is very deliberate.
Yeah, they are not just making artists and they're like, here's a card.
We want it to be
Cranial Crush. Just make it something cool. Like, they are deliberately, like, they are actively giving their artists prompts of what this actually means and how it'll correlate to the lore. And I love that. Because, like, Magic is kind of just like
25 years of discombobulated,
yeah,
cool high fantasy stuff.
You find a person and you're like, here's a card called Demonic Tutor.
There's 5 different art for it.
Because the art can change. Like they don't have like they have lore for the world of
the many
lands
you've got
of the world.
you got many
but they don't ever really tie in the art style to it. Like, and you could say, well, in Strixhaven there's like schools, and it's like, cool. In Flesh and Blood, they literally put a character on a card that became a hero 5 sets later.
Right.
And her flavor text mentioned her name. So when they showed her face, people were like, that's her! That's the girl on the card!
Valda Brightaxe.
Yeah.
The other guardian.
Valda. Valda's great.
Who is not annoying to play against.
She's a very fast hero.
Yeah, she's speedy.
There is no
Breaks? She doesn't know him. She's pedal to... She looked at her grandpa Oldhim and she went, not me. I'm not gonna be like you, grandpa.
I saw this blue hedgehog once, and I was like, this is my idol.
My favorite show as a kid when you were frozen in ice was Sonic, and I'm gonna go fast! Oh man, noise. What have we become?
Any final thoughts on Oldhim?
He's fun.
He is actually...
He's really fun in limited formats. He is very fun to build him, experiment in the non sort of way that people play him. Like, find your own way to play Oldhim.
I challenge somebody out there to show me a pummel Oldhim. I will send them a free set of foil pummels. If it is like a playable
set,
like one of each, red, yellow, blue foil pummel. If we actually get like a quality deck list submitted by one,
we'll
of these.
build it and then we'll play test it on the channel, and we'll see if your Oldhim finishes before time's up.
It'll go against a fatigue Oldhim. See if we can pummel the fatigue out.
Okay. All right.
Or if you and your buddy want to get together and make 2 decks, one's Oldhim, one can be any other hero. We'll build it. We'll play him. So whose deck's better?
That's Oldhim. That's all we got.
Okay. I was gonna say 86 froze on my screen for a while, and I thought he just wasn't moving because he hated that idea.
No, he just froze in real life.
I just don't like Oldhim. It's personal thing.
We know that you don't like Elemental Guardians, 86.
That's okay.
You can't say it's just Oldhim. You do not like the 2 words Elemental and Guardian side by side. Be honest.
You typically don't even
Am
like
I
them at
wrong?
all.
You know, I'll be honest. So
wrong?
I'm still recording here. Whoops.
Did I
I'm gonna
put
say
a mirror
this.
up to your face and tell you something about yourself, and you're looking at it, you're going to go, I know I'm not like this, but then you have to think deep inside to little 86 as a child, and it's like, I don't like Elemental Guardians.
So like Starvo, like I hate playing against Starvo, but at the same time, like that match is over. Like I feel like at the end of the day, I understand it.
The minute you beat one, you look them in the eye and go, "Was it worth it?
Yeah.
What did it cost? Everything."
Your soul. But then like so Oldhim, like I'm fine with like aggro Oldhims, but the timeout Oldhim, the fatigue Oldhim, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's literally like it's a different kind of like I hate this experience. Like playing against Starvo is like, oh, I'm losing cards, I can't do anything. Okay, all right, it's over. Oldhim is just like sit there and go through like with certain heroes, and unfortunately, it's the heroes I like.
Click, 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 as they shuffle their cards.
Yeah.
They snap them. They snap them in my face, and every snap is further me descending into hell. Just waiting for the sweet clutch of death. And it never comes, because they won't kill me!
You just look at the time, and you're like sitting there like, okay, this is... Okay, we got 10 minutes left, and then you look at the health, and you're like, okay, are they going to do anything? No? Okay, well, I'm just going to sit here. All right. There was actually a match at Indianapolis calling. I think it was Matt Rogers and someone else, and I think essentially the guy ended on time, and they ruled to give Matt Rogers an extra turn because he could kill the guy. I think that's what it was. Do you remember what it was, Voice?
That's the rules.
No, it was a judge's decision about like 4 turns in that the Oldhim was stalling.
He was purposefully stalling.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's 100% allowed.
Like
I'll allow
the
it.
judge was called by Matt after it was probably 25 minutes in.
How many turns have they got through it?
Maybe 6.
That's very slow.
50 minutes. Just kidding.
It was like 25 minutes, and literally, like I think Matt had only played 5 or 6 turns. Because I remember a judge call going up and like a crowd appearing around after the judge was there, because that was the first time that day, I think,
That stalling was an issue.
that there was a stalling call made. It was not the last, but
Yeah.
there are heroes that can stall and still play the game, but this player chose to just stall.
Yeah.
Like he knew he was gonna lose. And
I mean, you sit down across Matt Rogers, there's an inkling in the back of your mind of,
like, this guy.
And then let's just add to it Matt Rogers
Almost
playing
played it.
Captain Planet. You're doubly like, oh no.
Honestly, again, I play an aggro hero, so every time I saw one, I was like, "Whoo! All right, let's race."
2 turns, let's go.
Yeah, I can 2-turn kill. I gotta get the right hands and just be able to eat face.
And
on
just,
turn
they're
side.
just gonna have to, like, not block. No, I can Okay.
It's not. I mean,
Mr. Tope.
it's literal god hands, right? Like it's literal. It has to be god hands, but it's feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a hero you might be thinking of.
Oh,
Not a rune blade.
because I was
He is
thinking
the
of Katsu.
he is the only old hero of his class.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of Katsu then. So I am thinking of
It is Katsu. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Katsu.
Yeah. There's only one ninja that actually made it to adulthood.
Yeah.
The rest died.
Benji is a young boy, but still tries to hang out with the grown-ups.
He does. He can't. But some people believe he can. And I respect them for
Yeah.
believing.
Some people are like, this little boy will make it big someday. He's just like, I have 17 health.
I mean, when he gets 34 health, he's going to be a real problem if they ever do that. And they probably can't.
They probably won't.
They literally, I don't think, can because there's too many good on-hit effects in his unblockable range.
Yeah.
He would break the meta in like a week.
All right. We're going to
Yeah.
call it quits. My cat's going nuts.
He
All
wants
right.
to get drunk.
Let's have fun. Don't play Oldhim. Have
Or
a good
play
day.
Oldham, don't play fatigue.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Play thumps. Pump the thumps.
Pump
Oldham with
thumps.
the pump thump method is actually really, really good.
All right. Thank you guys. Join the Discord. That'll be in the description. And yeah, hope to
We'll see you next time.
see you.
Boom, 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 boom.